Okay, we're about to start. I remind you that now we have, sorry. So now we have the students who are reading the graphs for the first session, and then when everyone is finished, they're going back, and here will come the students who are going to read the questions. And for the delivery of the text, you're going to meet there, and then deliver the text. One for each country. A delegation of the schools will deliver the text, okay, even if the text is only one. Okay. Okay. We're ready. Okay. So I would like to thank and welcome Mr. Marcheggiani here. He will be our expert on the landscape protection, our issue that we have studied. So, Caterina, can I have this one?
Thank you for inviting me. Welcome, guys.
So this is our project, Citizens in Action. It's an Erasmus project, Jean Monnet, co-founded by the European Union. And this is our logo and our motto, Young People United for Europe. So the aim of this project is to strengthen the sense of belonging to the European community and to become active citizens through various activities. Last year, we have studied several issues, the landscape protection, the gender issue, and Europe and European citizenship. So after this year of formation, we have experienced what it means to be an active citizen through interviews to our citizens, and we have gathered the questions to bring here to Brussels. So this trip is the core of our project. We are here to receive answers from you, from the experts in these European institutions. And next year, we will disseminate this experience and the answers we have received. So we are from 4 countries. We are 5 schools. Liceo Artistico Mannucci from Ancona is the leading school, and the team is called Color Community. We have Liceo Vittorio Colonna from Rome, and its team Vittorio Colonna for Europe. We have Constantina Manesis High School from Greece, and it's the Manisakia team. And then we have from Romania, Scuola Gimnasiala number 1. They're called the Little Ones. And we have the Latvian Riga State Gymnasium number 3. And the team is Passionate Oak, our wonderful partnership. So I leave the word to Katja to present this booklet that we have created.
Thank you, Greta, so much. I would like to thank you all for all the job that we did together. The Citizens in Action, Let's Give Voice to Citizens, aim is to show the result of the activities of active citizenship carried out in the frame of the project on Europe, landscape, protection and gender equality. So it has 2 sections. The first one are the results of the interviews on Europe and European citizenship, landscape protection and gender issues per country. And the second one has the questions from the citizens on Europe, landscape protection and gender issues too. So, how was Let's Give Voice Citizens created? With so many work, first of all, from the kids and their teachers. And after that, each student interviewed 2 adults and 2 students asking questions on Europe and European citizenship, landscape protections, and gender issues. After that, we have the results, which were calculated for each country, and in total, of course. The next step was to each delegation collected 1 to 2 questions from citizens of their territory for each key area related to the topic, and finally the questions were summarized.
So this is our project, and now we are going to present the results of the questionnaire, and then we are going to ask the questions. Okay, so I leave the word to Matilde for the first graph.
This is the first graph. The question is the urban landscape an asset in your country? So we can see that almost every country agrees. Greek with 62.5%, Italy with 84%, and Latvia with almost 59%, and Romania said that doesn't agree with 50% said no.
The second question is, in your opinion, are the surroundings of the place where you live kept clean and well maintained? And we can see that in Greece, the 78.8% said yes, and the 21.3% said no. In Italy, the 38% said yes, and 58.75% said no, and 3.25% said I don't know. In Latvia, 61.25% said yes, 33.75% said no, and 5% said I don't know. And in Romania, 25% said yes, 70% said no, and 10%.
In the third question, do you feel you have a responsibility to preserve, protect, and improve urban and natural landscape? All the Greeks actually said yes. 89% of the Italians said yes, with 8% no and 3.25% I don't know. Then we have Latvia with the most negative answers, with almost 13% no, 83% yes, and 5% I don't know. And lastly, we have Romania with 84% yes, 6.25% no, and 10% I don't know.
The fourth question was, do you think the government should put resources on landscape? Greece answered 100% yes, while Italy answered 95% yes and 1.25% no, and 3.75% I don't know. To the question, do you think the government should put resources on landscape? Latvia answered 80% no, 12.5% no, and 7.5% I don't know. While Romania answered 92.5% yes, 3.75% no, and 7.5% I don't know.
Last question. Do you know at least 2 examples of landscapes protected by UNESCO in your country? As you can see, the most people answered yes. For example, is Italy with 73%, Latvia with 50%, Romania with 48%, Greece with 45%. For the answer for no are around 20 and 14%. The answer for I don't know it's Greece with 21%, Italy and Latvia with 7%, and Romania with 5%. Thank you.
Thank you. I invite here the students who are reading the questions for landscape.
The girl I like.
Yes, she is very passionate about landscape, so that's why. Okay, Joy, when you're ready.
Okay, so I'm saying the first question. What more can EU do to protect national historical heritage and help the renovation of historical monuments in order to increase cultural interaction between European countries?
Okay, I suppose the question is to me. Okay. Above all, thank you for inviting me. I was looking at the slide, which I saw 4 European countries crossing as a transect whole Europe, where you have asked questions. This is a sensible product that, on the scientific perspective, has a value. So I will ask you, if I can use your material, and you have done a great job. And thank you for your colleagues who was presenting the graph. I take the occasion of the first question for making a general, what we in Italian, I'm former Italian, I'm close from the city of Ancona, what we call a cappello introduttivo, a general frame, an umbrella, an idea umbrella. You speak about landscape. You have been exposed to training from a colleague of mine, Professor Alici, speaking about the landscape, the heritage. And in your first question, what you have here, you have something which puts together European Union and the protection of something which is nice or old. Old or nice. Because if it's nice as a value, if it's old as a value. But we have to take a step back and think what landscape is. Because in that meaning, we have the mother of the issue, why Europe is sometimes ineffective in protecting landscape. You are from 4 different countries. Any of you has his own meaning for landscape. We are using English. Our colleague before, Klaus, has well introduced the problem of Europe. We are not speaking the same language as other geopolitical blocs, as Russia, China, United States. We have more than one language. And the problem of language is not only a problem of translating words, it's a problem of meanings. What I mean in Italian when I say paesaggio, what a colleague of mine says and think about when he says paysage, and what about Klaus when he speaks about Landschaft, or the British term landscape. Different words, different meanings, different perspective, different evolution of the pieces of law was generated what the countries are today. That's a big issue for landscape. You, sorry guys, but you have stepped into a very slippery slope matters. And so my first comment to your question is, when you speak about the protection of something which is related to landscape and EU together in the same words, you have to think that you are speaking of something which is not a direct matter of the European Union. European Union has direct interaction with some aspects of our daily life, for example, environment, for example, agriculture, for example, nature. That's a specific competence of the European Union. Those are specific competencies of the European Union. Landscape is not. But then I will take 2 steps back, what landscape means. But let's stay on the first idea. Landscape is something which is linked to protect something which is beauty or old. As value because it's beauty, we consider beauty or we consider old. But where is the code of behave? Where are the pieces of law written about it? They are written in specific national frameworks. Who are the special framework which are national? In Italian, maybe there are a lot of Italian. I'm sorry, I cannot double translate for the other language because my Greek and Latvian and Romanian are not at the that can put me in that possibility. But when we speak of pianificazione in Italian, which is spatial framework remains a national subject and is defended by the national the rules for exploiting the land, and therefore there's still not a unique vision under the political point of view. So, if it's clear, at least for you now, I understand that I'm an academic and and moreover, my lectures are in the last years. So I'm an academic for almost finished master and doctoral students. So I'm trying to make you understandable, so stop me if I'm making bad. I'm trying to make it simple. Think that we are dealing with something which is under a puzzled and not complete, a difficult legal aspect. And we are talking of something which has not the same meaning in different parts of Europe. So, going back to your question, what can European Union do more for protecting what we think that should be protected? In your word here, I see that you have focused on something which is old or beauty. And I see here the influence of the Italian part, the Mediterranean part. Landscape is beauty, the beautiness of scenery. Landscape is something which is old. Okay, let's stay here, and then I will ask you to make a little effort more to understand what landscape is for maybe the Northern European citizens, which is linked to the functionality of a piece of land, something which is green, something which has many ecological function, which is a different perspective if you think as is perceived by the Italians or the French or the Spanish guy, okay? But we will do that after in the next words. So answering your first question, I can say that Europe could do better, of course, but that difficulty, that bottleneck, which we never, that gap, legal gap, we never wanted so far to fill up, makes the things more complicated. What they should do better, if you want to think about, of course, there are different actions. If you look at the activities, for example, where the European Union put the mouth, which means where they put the money. There are different, for example, projects. If you look into the direct financing actions, example is European Europe. But what I can say is that even if this is an European action about landscape, we will find different projects already financed about that. This is more a flag than an effective action, because those are small actions which have limited duration in time. If we sometimes we speak of some million of euros per project, this is really a little. This is a drop in the ocean. So what the European Union could do more, if you want my opinion, should be overtake a sort of original sin when we have been spoken about landscape officially in these buildings. If you think carefully, today we have just one piece of common documents agreed among all of us, which is the European Landscape Convention. But the European Landscape Convention is a piece of paper in which there are common agreements between all the member states and associated countries, which has been agreed under the umbrella of the Council of Europe. But the problem is that the Council of Europe is not the European Council. You have seen before Mr. Klaus presenting you the way in which the European Union works. There were a line of competencies from the voice of European citizens, the European Parliament, through the technical body, which is the European Commission, and the voice of the national representatives, the European Councils. Listen the opinions of the Committee of the Region and the Social Economic Affair. This process is the decisional process of Europe. The Council of Europe is not part of them. Council of Europe is an umbrella of 340-something countries, which the core activity is protecting human rights and all the associated meetings. And if you want a little technical detail, sorry, in your youngness, maybe I don't want to be technical. I'm trying to, but okay, say something if I'm going too far. The consolidated Lisbon version of the treaty, which is the book of rules, the Treaty of Europe, says that something which is linked to cultural can be linked to the activity of the Council of Europe. But in this way, we have relegated, we have narrowed landscape not in technical spatial planning aspects, but only in something which is linked to the ideal work of an institution which is not part of the European Union. So what can do more the European Union do? Make the effort of bringing landscape into the official decisional process of Europe. I don't know if it will be possible, but that should be something which we would give much more power to the protective actions. I have a different example, but I took a longer time for this first action, for this first answer, because that gave me the possibility to introduce you to that. Ideas of landscape have a multifaceted, something which has more than one phase aspect, and the problem of law interpretation. Okay? You're welcome.
So the second question is, the rural landscape is an important cultural patrimony, but is disappearing from an absence of protection in the rural development plan. We are losing biodiversity in our territories, so what is the European Union doing to contribute to the preservation of Europe's natural landscapes and parks?
Okay, thank you for the question. Here we have the two steps back, as I was asking to do. In the first question, you have seen that landscape is linked to something which has value for all of us because it's old or beauty or nice to see. Now we are here looking at something which the baseline meanings are linked to the functionality of the environment. We are speaking of rural development plan, and you know that in that case we are speaking of something which is rural. The second question is, after having asked you, I would like to interact with the guys. I don't know if we have time, but what landscape is, but what rural is. What's rural? I'm a professor in the Faculty of Agriculture in Italy, and I have a long track of visiting professorship in the KU Leuven. And I'm asking to the students, what's rural? You are, in a few months, you will be a professional in bioengineering agricultural studies, and you have been speaking for years about rurality. What's rural? What's landscape? And now I'm asking you, what's rural? What's rural? Come on, guys. Let's give it a try. Go ahead. Sorry, come again, the second part?
Okay, it's like away from cities, more to the countryside, rural.
That's right. Good point. Far from city, but how we define far from city? That's good because many students tell me it's agriculture. Rural is not agriculture. Then by chance many rural places overlay with the agriculture spaces, but that is another thing. Rural, sorry, I don't have time. If any of you want to try to give me another answer, if you want to have a try, what's rural? How we define rural? We have maps of rural areas of Europe, which are used for setting up the rural development plans. How we define rural?
Maybe a place that is not much urbanized, like because the city is totally in hands of humans. So maybe rural is less urbanized.
Which is important. That's important. For example, if you want an example, in the North American planning view, you have rural, which means far from the very city center. Sometimes you have rural places, which in our perspective are cities, dense populated cities. From doesn't like what I'm saying. Okay, anyway, probably I'm saying something that the buildings don't like to hear. So that is another important piece of knowledge to take in consideration. When we speak about rurality and when we speak about natural landscape and parks, now we are stepping into one of the second group of meanings which landscape has, which is nature, ecological functionality. Okay, that's also important. So now you know that when we speak about landscape, paesaggio, we are speaking of something which is beauty, or something which is old, or something which is ecological functional, okay, which is green, an urban park or network of parks. I'm not much agree about the way in which the question is built, because there is no absence of protection. Maybe rural, since rural falls within agriculture, and then we enter in a territory in a playfield in which the European Union has a direct consequence, because agriculture is a direct matter of European Union. That's why you have a lot of things in rural protection when we speak about rural. So I do not agree. When you talk about rural and nature, you are in a place in which you are talking of landscape, but there you have a lot of pieces of laws that you can use. So I would not say that there's an absence. Maybe should be done more. There's a lot of lucrative appetites for the urban expansion, which has reduced the power of the rural protection initiatives. Maybe agriculture is made of people who has seen always nature protection and landscape protection as a limitation to the agricultural activities, that yes, we could do more. We want to use pesticides because otherwise all our harvest will be devastated by pests, whatever. But no, I would not speak about absence, not at all. You are in a space of direct competence of the European Union. So we have a lot of, and the same you have when you speak about natural landscapes. Maybe here in that question, to get back to the very meaning of your question, I would say that Europe have done a lot in that to have in the current most important strategies of the European Union, agriculture and nature protection. I am speaking of the Farm to Fork initiative and the nature restoration and biodiversity strategies. There you have a lot. The documents, the working documents, the documents made by the policy officers for making up the two strategies in pieces of law are plenty of sentences in which you have landscapes. So I think that in that second question, to get to a final synthetic answer, maybe the cultural part has been left a bit out. Because if you think of what I told you about the first question and the second, you see landscape which is made of cultural aspects linked to identity, to patrimony, to heritage, and the second the second question, you have landscape linked to the ecological, functional meaning. Culture is something which is in the second doesn't leak much. So maybe if you want an answer for the second, what would be important would be improve and strengthen the voice of the rural community. If you want to speak about rural landscape and biodiversity and natural landscape and cultural aspects. For all the rest, if you think about Nature 2000 initiatives, the plenty of initiatives in the rural development plans for the rural landscape itself and the natural landscapes, there's a lot done about the European Union. The most advanced pieces of law worldwide. There are no other geopolitical blocs who have done so much for the protection. Maybe we should raise the voice of local community for the cultural aspects, because when you speak of landscape in natural and ecological functional terms, now you have beneath the local identity. Are places where people feel to be home, the sense of place. That's something which should be done through maybe the activity of the Committee of the Region, for example. Okay. You're welcome.
So the third question is, could you share details about the European Union's approaches to fostering involvement and active participation in discussions regarding landscapes within the community?
Okay. This is a difficult question. Making a list. It's difficult to make a list. What I can do for you for that answer is being shorter than before, because I think that I have used my best shots in the two previous questions. But anyway, I can divide for you the sectors where the European Union approaches have been used to foster the involvement, participation. One is, for example, Citizens in Action and the civil dialoguing groups are two important initiatives which have been taken by the European Union in a vigorous way, especially after the bad experience of Brexit and the reason of populist wind in Europe. So listen, the voice of the communities is absolutely a key issue for the institutions, both meaning the European Parliament and the European Commission. Speaking about landscape, in this sense, different activities have been created. And, for example, something which is recent and new is the initiative which has been born under the close group of the President von der Leyen, which is the NIB, New Bauhaus Europe, New European Bauhaus, which is an initiative who has so far created different local events. There are financing actions and there are some frameworks for making the European cities more livable and give voice to the citizens. This is something which is probably one of the key initiatives, but there are so far things which were there even before. A platform which is not much known, for example, is the ESPON unit, which is not part of the European institutions, but that's an initiative who has in the core business to harvest evidences in the spatial planning and territorial development in Europe, making these as best practices for all. And this is maybe something which is linked to the activity of the expert, but there are actions who are financed. And I think that it's plenty in many of the direct and the indirect ways in which the European Union give give voice and give money for the regional development, especially regional development. As you have seen before, the European Union is divided in region. Klaus has not developed the concept in depth, but if you think Europe is divided in countries and then in regions and then in subunits, they are called nuts. Nuts, which is a term for, and it depends by the way in which the census, the statistics divide Europe in practical terms. But there you have regions and the metropolitan cities. They are the two key actors in that game. And it's plenty of activities which have been activated. And I think that if you want a detail, I think that the dialoguing groups, civil dialoguing groups and the new European Bauhaus could be the two best examples. If you want to be active on that, you can do that even today. Living here, you can go on internet, look what they are, and be active the day after.
So the fourth question is, what are the main sources of financing for interventions for the protection and enhancement of landscape?
Thanks also for this question. Before answering the four questions, just a final say on the previous question. Maybe I should say that with switch off microphone. But anyway, the civil consultation, the civil dialoguing group, which means people talking about the use of lands, the use of the places where they live, is not much fostered by the local and national authorities, because the national authorities always wanted to keep a control on the land, because there's a lot of value. Every time you transform a pieces of agricultural lands, or you tear a wood down and you build a building block, you have produced a lot of money. So the people speaking about the protection of the undeveloped and unsoiled land is not much welcome many times. So this is something we should take care of when you. Okay. But anyway, going back to the fourth questions. Okay. When we speak about landscape, I try to introduce you to the idea where sometimes you just speak of something which is old and could be something small, a single heritage element, for example, a building, or something big, like a park, like a geographical space. When you have to put the money on something which is big in special terms, in the special scale, in geographical terms, sometimes you need a lot of money. And you need a lot of power, because in large pieces of land, there are different appetites. They want to exploit for making agriculture. They want to build on because that gives a lot of money to few people. So that means that you have to have the control on that. You need a lot of power and a lot of money. So what the main sources of financing for intervention? If you do something small as a flag initiative, as a good example, there are a lot of European projects that you can find from the different programming. For example, European Horizon Europe, Interreg projects, and down up to the different that you can find. There are dedicated platforms on the website of European institutions, and that one way. Good example, less effectiveness. Normally, the effect of those actions finish the day after that the project is dead. The money are over, the project is over, the action is over. If you want more money, then you have to look, before I told you, European Union has no direct competencies on landscape. You have to look on the national initiative, privates. If you can convince Coca-Cola company to finance for your idea, why not? But another, where I would look is to do something which is linked to the idea of gather and convince people to give you money through financial instruments. When you need a lot of money for doing something, you need to look to something which could be divided in two big groups. Crowdfunding, and the North Americans and the British people, they have been very good on doing this. For example, many action in the UK and Scotland and Ireland are harsh places, difficult to live. There are no lazy governments giving you easy money as in Italy, for example. And they are very good to do that through, for example, lottery, for harvesting money, through crowdfunding, for making the city of Bristol greener. The second step is, aside of your ability to make crowdfunding, are banks. You have to convince some bank through different frameworks. There are a set of organizational rules for having financial instrument channeled money. And here we are in the Committee of the Region. It's plenty of action. Who's for example, the municipalities, who are the mayor, who are in chief of different metropolitan cities, they have agreed to do things. In that case, they have used their own resources and they have collected funds from private and they have used the structural funds. They have diverged the part of money who are co-financed by the European Union, all of you, together with the national money and the local money for making the famous indirect funds, the Regional Development Fund and the European Rural and Agriculture Development Fund, to give you an idea, together with the Fishery and Maritime Funds. Another unexplored by some countries as Italy, for example, which by your question it was one of the countries who has the more of the cultural heritage patrimony, for example, and done better by other countries, but let's say a new way. It goes through banks, but namely the European investment banks. There's a tendency in the dialogue about the use of direct funds and indirect funds especially, which speaks of something like a crisis. The way in which we have financed so far regional funds means that we all together put money, we give the money to the regional managing authority, and the regional managing authority divided as money in boxes, whose use has been agreed for 7 years, for example, the projectual frameworks. Those money are for new streets, those money are for public health, those money are for the protection of blah, blah, blah. Those money are used through grants, bandi in Italian, the famous bando. The public authority makes public the call, the different people who has all the characteristics for attending the grant, they participate, the winner takes the money. There's a lot of lobby. When the 7 years have expired, we make the final calculation, all the money has been spent, really good. There's a double control, the auditing from where you have some like big black lobbyist company like PricewaterhouseCoopers and blah, blah. And there's a control from here, there's an auditing, and that's finished. And this is the way in which we have spent the most of the money for the regional development, where many of the activities and the action you see in your cities, in your country, have happened. But in the last two, and especially in the 2014-2020 period, the European Union works per frameworks with a budget, frameworks with budget. Now we are in 2021-2027 period. Since the previous, we were still in Juncker Commission, so before Ursula von der Leyen. Some academics started together with people, some experts, and supporting the activity of the officers, were saying, okay, we have reached the limit, the threshold. This approach, after 45 years, is ineffective. Just to give an example, it's plenty of bad example. I'm Italian, so I take the responsibility. If you look at the amount of money given to the southern European region, because those money are allocated by indicators, less developed regions, in transition regions, and more developed regions. Italy has 4 classical less developed regions, who has used a huge amount of money, a lot of money. If you look at the targets and what they harvested through those money, we had almost nothing. They were in trouble 45 years ago. They are in trouble now. They are lagging behind. So someone starting to say, okay, this is not working anymore. We have to change, especially because we have to give money to the common European defense, trillion of euros. So agriculture can be anymore the more financed part of the European budget. We cannot keep going on money to the region who build the next road which goes rotten, or the next rebuilt village after an earthquake that in 25 years will be abandoned and destroyed. We have to find another way. The European Bank of Investments now has an advisory hub. There are financial instruments dedicated. In that case, means that we should start thinking if we need to do something big, we have to think carefully between us. We have to reach an agreement between the communities, regardless of the boundaries. It doesn't matter if they are two different regions. We need to fill a gap, so we have to focus resources, thematic concentration, finance concentration, let to go outside, look for the money. Don't wait for the regional bundle, for the regional grant. Look for a loan. If the idea is good, you can convince some investor, and for doing that, the European Investment Bank, committed with the European Commission, is helping the territory for investments where you need a lot of money. And this is where you can find answer to your question.
What steps does the European Parliament take to confront urbanization's effects on landscapes and green spaces in European cities?
That's something you should ask the European Parliament. Okay. Once again, as you have understand from my long answers to your questions, the urbanization effects on landscape, which means soil sealing, which means there is a mechanism who has been very active in the first decades after the Second World War, meaning after the Marshall Plan, in which the mechanism of transforming agricultural land in something which was urbanized area was a mechanism who had been hyperactive in Europe. Europe is dense. If you think Europe in terms of, if you look at a map and you look at the United States, or China or Canada, Europe is small, dense of people. That density, for example, here we are in Brussels, they speak, the Flemish part of Belgians, they speak about the Flemish diamond, is one of the most urbanized pieces of land in the world. And that mechanism is creating a lot of issues, and now as many times in the human history, what we had was a suddenly stop. Now the tendency is to not anymore a single square meter. For example, here, in such a dense Flemish diamond, they are very good to build over building. So they destroyed and build again. Other countries, for example, Italy, Greece, Spain, had a problem to stop until the figures, the plots, the graphs, were showing that we have over-consumed the land. But the European Parliament can make the voice of European citizens be heard, but as I told you, the planning frameworks remain a national decision. So I would make the same question to the people for the European Parliament. They have a list of things they have done, of actions, but since the planning is not a matter of competencies of the European Union, that's not an easy task. I'm not updated about that, but if we speak about urbanization of green spaces, we speak of soil sealing. I put a layer of concrete over green lands. And I think that we are still stuck at the European Union level to a communication on soil sealing, which has been led by an Italian policy officer with a group of people. over this communication, other countries have been active national answer. For example, Italy now has one of the more restrictive laws on soil sealing. And so what can the European Parliament do is keep going on, putting pressure on the different national authorities, and using all the means they have, working through the sectors in which they have competence. For example, environment. So they're not going directly working on the spatial framework, but for example, putting limits, and there they do have the competence on the find the positive reaction of citizens, but they have a lot of enemy when we're speaking about lobbies, when we speak about representative of agriculture groups, industrial groups, so it's not an easy game. But anyway, should be done. Another action, an important action would the European Parliament would do, and I tell you this because it's been part of a projectile activity we had together with Antonello. There's an umbrella for European. I was mentioning you the European Landscape Convention. This chart, this piece of paper in which we agreed, which is out of the game, but anyway is there. There's an umbrella of academics, which is a representative of a network of universities in Europe who had supported the born of the chart, and now they are still active. Ancona is one of the node of the chart. There are Greek representatives. There are all over Europe. And on that project, together with the Green in the European Parliament, with the Greens, the European Greens, we had a project discussing this matter that I have introduced to you. And one aspect which has been reasoned especially by the Greens, is this, and I leave you as a conclusive message, and that's something in which European Parliament do a lot. If you think we went through, I'm old enough to remember easier and lazier times before. Now you are in your young age, you have already seen economic crisis, subprime crisis, wars, and pandemics. I've never seen a pandemic before when I was at your age. In response to those crises, a lot of money have been put in game. I was saying before, and important, if you think carefully, you know that the divide between Northern, the pigs concept, no? The Northern European hyper-performance of the budget, well-maintained budget of the Netherlands people or the Austrian people, and the lazy Mediterranean who spends like hell without looking at the future. To face the crisis, we have done a miracle. We have convinced the Northern European people to merge part of their public debt together with us. That has created an enormous quantity of money that our Italian fellows know as PNRR, which is InvestEU. InvestEU has trillions of euros. And the concern of Greens about getting back to your question is all those money without control in a situation in which the special framework are national and not controlled by the European Union, can create a negative greenwashing of the money. That's something which I think European Parliament should take the focus on the next European Parliament, which will be created after the election, which will be held in June.
Thank you for your answers. Now we are going to deliver the booklet that we have created. So we have a delegation from each school. Okay, maybe we can stand up and you can take a picture with them. So we have, yes, 5 students should be okay.
You have to go.
Yeah, go and meet them, please. He's coming. Maybe someone can take a picture. Okay.
Come with them. Come with them. All of the kids.
Yeah, we're with them. Sorry, we can take a picture.
Sorry.
Let's take a picture with them.
Let's take a picture of them. Yes. Take a picture.
Yeah. We can go with them. We can go with them.
Okay.
Hello. Mishu gay. Hello.
We take the pictures and then we have 10 minutes break, okay?
Sweet home.
Pate.
Baba, yes, but.
Florine.
Estás.
Vezi? Florine. Ta.
Rotu. Rotu.
Pleacă așa. Stați un pic, bă, băieți.
Rotundu.
S-aude sus?
Rotundul nostru preferat. Rotundu.
Mișu e gay.
Mișu e gay. Harpă. De. Care? Ha, da? Tu te auzi. A, stai cu...
De acolo.
Da.
Hey.
Antonio. $20.
Καλησπέρα.
Dana. Dana.
Rotundu.
S-aude în astea de sus? S-aude prost, zi. Vârf. Mă zic.
Faci mă prost.
Nici eu, bă, mereu mai puteam, făceam așa pe scaun.
Eu dormeam.
Așa făceam.
Su. Su. E.
Dimineața mă trezesc într-un pat împărat.
Su. Su. Su.
Muchas gracias, afición. Esta para vosotros.
Su. Patrick.
Muchas gracias.
Stai cu minte, Patrick. Patrick, stai cu minte.
Baby, I need to know. Unu, doi, trei, patru, 1, 2, 3, 4, vorbește receptorul. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, vorbește receptorul. Auziți? I need to know. Că nimeni nu mai poartă. Receptorul 1, 2, 3, 4. Avem stați în așteptare, muzica pe fundal. Cause I'm a Brooklyn baby. I'm a Brooklyn baby.
Florin e ca îngrășuț.
Zi-mă, tu zici.
Talent, talent.
I can see my baby.
Am crezut că doar dacă spui căștile.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Dimineața mă trezesc. Pat împărătă.
Dimineața mă trezesc.
Ia. Dimineața mă trezesc într-un pat împărătesc.
Bună dimineața!
Deja!
Mirela.
Probon.
Mișu e gay. Mișu e gay.
Da.
Se des... I can see...
Da, da.
Tutarararara, tutarararara. Da. Don't forget me. It's a time on the ocean boulevard. Open me up. Dimineața. I can see.
Probă 1, 2, 3.
I can see my bed.
Se deschide casa 4 pentru dumneavoastră.
Experiment on fire.
Nevastă, fă-i și tu. Eu simpatică. Se deschide.
Baby, I'm in love.
Sunt cam grăsuți.
In love. Please don't to my dear.
Întrerupem această minune. Încă se deschide 4 pe...
What steps the
Veniți la farmacie.
Bună
Veniți la casa a 4 pentru a cumpăra. Îți mulțumim.
Pusi, bârc, se...
Mișulică. Mișulică-i chișulică.
Kinder felie de foame.
Pișu felie de mișu. Pișu felie de mișu.
Nu știți, păi...
Pișu felie... De la casa...
Nu știi, pănicu?
Mișu, felie de chișu. Veniți
Care
pentru a cumpăra Dalin care...
Nicolteanu, bă.
Puterea!
Hello.
Puterea! Cumpărați Dalin de la casa 4 la jumătate de...
I can't be man. Experiment on fire.
Dedicație.
Baby, I'm in love.
Dedicație pentru sara cea mai mișto.
Don't forget me. Is a thunder on the ocean board.
Camera, na la pasha.
¿Qué pasa?
Cumpărați, se poate, cumpărați găvrești,
¿Qué pasa, amigo? Te și bruși.
Cumpărați Dalin de la casa.
¿Qué pasa, amigo?
Oh, hombre estás.
¿Qué pasa, señor?
Cumpărați de la Mișu Pișu.
¿Qué pasa, my friend?
Cumpărați produse de la Mișu Pișu. Cumpărați produse de la Mișu Pișu Chișu, care are curul foarte chișu. Mișule, dacă mă auzi, fii atent. O să cumpăr de la Mișu Chișu, care are capul de chișu. Chișule. De ce?
Possiamo andare in hotel.
Aspetta. La.
Che pasa? Trebian. Who is online?
Hotel, hotel, hotel. Tu știi, mă, Pănicu?
Ăla micu. E soarea. Ce? Saronul când bine, lasă-te. Cotorba are ghif. Cotorba.
Dana.
Ola chiquita chiquita. Kinder, feliz. Cotorba. Kinder. Taylor. Kinder. Kinder. Denis se luatea și de țâții. Cotoarba are... Stai mă, nu, că nu trebuie. Cotoarba are ghif. Cotoarba are ghifuri de ochiate. Cotoarba are ghifuri de ochiate. Denis e un gay. Cotoarbă e un gay.
Breză.
Are... Kinder, felie. Casa... Casa...
Florin mănâncă mec.
Kinder, felie de foame, acum la casa 4. Felie de foame la casa 4. Kinder, felie de foame, acum la casa 4 până la 50% reducere. Veniți cât mai puteți.
Hotel. Hello. Hello.
Edgar, ļoti labi izskaties.
Bomboclat.
You are my sunshine. You. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine.
When skies are gray.
Picky.
You never notice.
Thank you so
how much we love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Και εγώ δεν έχω φάει όλη μέρα. Το ακούστηκε στο μικρόφωνο. Και αυτό ακούστηκε.
Αυτό ακούγεται.
Ναι.
You are my
sunshine. Τι έκλεισε?
I can...
No, that's not.
Verf, ik vind hem.
Probo.
Domanda dopo, quando a posto vieni dopo, insieme agli altri 5.
Dai. Se Burj Khalifa no one give the answer.
Hello.
We live, we love.
Hello everyone. I think it's
I can see.
Deschide în casa 4.
Deschide în cap. Nu vă mai băga bine. Că vă rup.
Deschide în casa.
Prima leggiamo i grafici, 5 persone.
Deschide în casa 4 pentru dumneavoastră. Vă rugăm să puneți toate produsele pe care...
Tu c'è il tuo PowerPoint? I grafici e poi dopo spostiamo il PowerPoint. Okay, we're about to start. Are we ready?
No, I'm not ready.
Sit down, please. Okay, so this is our second session, the session on gender issues. We are going to see the results of the questionnaire, as you know, and then we are asking the questions. And today the expert is Caterina Del Colle, who has been helping us, but also she also has a doctorate on women's studies. Okay, so we are going to start with the graphs. Please, Justin.
The first question is, in your opinion, are there stereotypes about women and men in your community, town, country? The answers were positive in all the country. In Greece, 91% said yes, and almost in Italy, almost 94% said yes, and in Latvia, 80% said yes, and in Romania, 62% said yes. Then in Greece, 8% said no. In Italy, about 1% said no, and in Latvia, almost 90% said no, and in Romania, almost 94% said no, and in Italy, 5% said I don't know, and Latvia, about 1% said no, I don't know, and in Romania, almost 40% said I don't know.
Okay, the second question is, do you believe there are specific jobs for men and women in your country? As you can see, the people of the Greece answered 75% yes, 23.8% said no, and 1.2% said I don't know. In Italy, the people answered the 53% yes, the 39% no, and the 80% I don't know. In Latvia, the people answered the 17% yes, the 27.5% said no, the 2.5% said I don't know. And in Romania, the 55% said yes, the 41.25% said no, and the 3.75% said I don't know.
To the question, does economic discrimination against women exist in your country? In Greece, 67.5% answered no, yes. 28.7% answered no, and 3.8% answered I don't know. In Italy, 76.25% answered yes, 13% answered no, and 11% answered I don't know. In Latvia, 58.75% answered yes, 26.25% answered no, and 15% answered I don't know. In Romania, 46.25% answered yes, 35% answered no, and 18.75 answered I don't know.
So the fourth question we asked was, do you think that gender-based violence is a reality? In Greece, 93.8% answered yes, that they believe, and 3.1% answered that they don't believe so, or that they don't know. In Italy, 81.25% said yes, 3% said no, and 50.75% said that they don't know. In Latvia, 77.5% people said yes, 15% said no, and 7.5% said that they don't know. And in Romania, 72.5% said yes, 20% said no, and 7.5% said they don't know.
Do you know anti-violence centers in your region? As you can see, the yes and no answers are similar. In Greece and Italy, the answers for yes are 41%. And we have 36% in Latvia and 28% in Romania. Unfortunately, 30% answered no in Romania and Greece, 45% in Italy, and 58% in Latvia.
So the first question is, we know that gender-based violence against women is any act of gender-based violence that cause or may cause physical, sexual, or psychological harm to women, and we would like to know what are the European measures to end violence against women and what Europe can add to existing measures.
Thank you for this answer that we summarized together in our online meeting, and it was not easy to summarize it. And in order to help you in follow my presentation, I have prepared a PowerPoint on it. And so now we will change screen. And I was thinking that probably the person that, the one of you that has to do the question has to change the place with the ones that has presented the graphs. Okay? Yes, the ones that have presented the graph can go back to their place, and the ones that have to present, to ask the question can sit here. Are you ready? Someone of you asked me to be very quick. I try to do it. As you see in this question, there are two questions. What European Union is doing and what is going to do, have to do. So, starting point is what has done and what we have, like a really big help from the European Union in fighting against gender violence. First of all, I will let someone of you could read this slide, but please don't joke with my microphone, because we can know who is joking, because the technical is giving us a report. So please don't do it. So I was telling you that the Istanbul Convention was made in 2011. After 6 years, in 2017, it was signed by the European Union. It means that the European Union agree with it. And only in the 2023, it became legally binding for all the European countries. But we have here a Latvian school, and I know that you know that Latvia is one of the countries that have not signed this convention. With Latvia, we have also Hungary, Czech Republic, Lithuania, and Slovakia. It means that in these countries, this convention is not legally binding, of course. And I think that you have to remind why we are here doing this session, because you have collected questions on gender issues and on the other issues that you have studied, and you have the next year, you have to spread our answers and your research, of course, also, in your territories. And I think it will be very interesting for you in Latvia particularly, but I think in each of our countries to have table of discussion, assembly, events, in which you put a critical point of view. Why it's important, why it's not important, why the signing of this convention, why there are some countries that have not signed it. And we are only offering you instruments to think about it. We are not giving you answers. We are giving you knowledge. And we trust in your critical point of view. So if 5 countries didn't sign it, it will be, there are reasons. Do you agree with the reasons or not? You have not to be, if I'm Latvian, I agree with this. No, of course. Probably someone from Greece will say, I agree with Latvia. Someone from Latvia could say, I don't agree with my government. Because, why I'm suggesting you this? Because we hope that you could have a critical point of view, an authentic, original, your point of view. Because you are the new generation, new active citizens, and you have to have a point of view. That's why we offered you a course, we offered you this session, in order to offer you material on which you have to think about. And the next year, you have to go on with it in your countries, organizing events. So, what have done European Union against gender violence? The signing and the legally binding of the Convention of Istanbul. The second thing that the European Union has done has created a strategy on gender equality. What is a strategy? A strategy is a plan of action. A lot of action, funding, laws, policies, a lot of activities together in order to reach a goal. What is the goal of this strategy? Gender equality. This strategy is important not only for fight gender violence, it's important also to arrive to have gender equality in a huge sense. But we are now speaking about gender violence, yes. In these strategies, Europe is offering opportunities in order to overcome gender violence and stereotypes that promote inequality. This gender strategy you can see on this little window on the left on your screen, of your screen, that is a strategy that started in 2020 and will finish when you will finish this project, in 2025. So in 2025 there will be a balance. Europe will say, have we reached our goals? Is Europe less violent against women now in 2025 than it was before the 2020? You will have these results And we, all of us, will hope that are good results. But also this result, you can see this result, you can read this result with the critical point of view. Okay? This is the importance of this opportunity that we are giving you. So this is only a slide to summarize what I told you. We have milestones on the European activity against gender violence, and our milestones are the Convention of Istanbul, created in 2011, signed in 2017, and legally binding in 2023. All of you, as active citizen, expert in this field, has to know this milestone. Also, if you don't agree, but you have to know. And the other milestone is the EU Gender Equality Strategy. There are also further commitments against gender violence. Of course, legislation. You know that there are some laws, European laws, that are directly effective in each country. There are other laws in which Europe also asks to the country to follow this horizon and to do laws in this direction. So, doing laws, European Union is taking care of these issues, of overcoming, of fighting against gender violence. There is another program, and I suggest you also in your events also to share your knowledge also regarding the fundings. This is another program that is named Daphne program. And what is this program? They give funds, they give money, like we received money. You are here because we received money from Europe for you, for each of you. And so there are other funds for the organization that are working against gender violence. And if you have an event, probably in this event could be someone that works in a field that is related with the fight against gender violence. And through you, they could know that there are funding for their activities. And they can ask for fundings. And they can do things through you. So this is also the sense of your study, of your knowledge, and of your commitment in the field. Of course, there is also another commitment of Europe is to share good practices. If a group, an institution, do something that is effective, there is a data collection, there is a network in Europe, and this activity that was good, that has good results, can inspire someone in another part of the continent, in another part of the Union, because there is a sharing of good practice. There is data collection, and also another help is the support on the research on the field, what we have to do, what is effective, what can help us in fighting against gender violence. There is a research of sociologists, psychologists, politicians, experts in different fields, funded by the European Union. Don't be afraid of this very full slide. This slide is related to what Europe has to do additional measures. What are possible additional measures? You can read and see that there are a lot of fields in which Europe can do something more. And I hope that you will read and study these slides when you are back at home and when you have to organize events, because you have to know what are the additional measures that EU is going to do in order to fight gender violence. I will give only some words on the first one, legal harmonization. Also, the other expert in the other issue was telling you that the translation is an art, is an effort, and is a challenge. We have the same word, but different meanings. And imagine what it means regarding penalties and crimes. So, one of the things that Europe is doing is trying to harmonize, to create common definition on the penalties for gender-based violence in order to create a system that is a common system.
The second question is, what is the already existing European legislation on preventing discrimination against women and promoting gender equality?
Point of view, and it is an open question also for the table for the events that you will organize in your territories. You can put this question to people. Another point is the EU gender equality strategy, and we have spoken about it. This is the gender equality strategy from 2020 to 2024. And in this equality strategy, there is also a point, a focus on the gender discrimination, on the help for equal treatment for women and men. Of course, there are also laws. There is a legislation in which the European Union is working for create the better environment, the better situation for avoid this problem of discrimination against women. There is also the Council of Europe standard. Also, the Council of Europe is working on promote women's advancement and gender equality through standards and policies. And you will have the opportunity to in-depth this point when you will have your event on the topic. And I don't know if you know that in the European Parliament there is a committee, a standing committee dedicated to gender equality. And this committee has the point as exactly the focus, the aim to create the better situation in order to overcome the disequality. And we have also the Gender Equality Week. We will have this Gender Equality Week also this year. Usually is at the end of October. So probably it could be also a good moment to organize an event on this topic.
Okay, so the third question is, what additional take in order to prevent discrimination against women and to promote gender equality?
Thank you. So, what is going to do? What it's going to do? There is another milestone that you have to know is this convention of the United Nations that is the Convention on the Elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. It is a treaty since the 1979 that is one of the most widely ratified human rights treaties. It was signed by 189 nations. It means that it is a treaty important on topic recognized by in a worldwide origin. And so something that the European Union is going to do is encouraging the removal of reservation in this treaty, in trusting in this treaty, that conflict with its goal. Also, another important issue on which European Union is working and has to work more is language. And I suggest you also to have discussion in your school regarding this. It's really important, the language, in order to overcome stereotypes and discrimination. Our language is not a problem. It's emphasized. What is language? Sometimes people are annoyed about it. Language, oh, please, this is a detail. We have to speak of important things. What is a word? And it is a question that I ask to each of you. Is really important language or not? How much is important? We have not the time. It's a pity, but we have not the time to have now a discussion, but I hope that this evening, in the next day, in the next year, when you have to work on it, you will have this kind of discussion in your group, in your class, in your school, in your territories. Because now you are becoming only joking. Sometimes people say sexist phrase and say, I'm joking. What's the difference between a joke and between a sexist language? So this is a topic on which Europe is working, has to work, and you have to think about it. As you see, there are also other topics, as you are reading on your screen. Another topic on which Europe has to work is the flexibility in the employment in order to permit to have a family, to have children. Because not only women has to take care of children. And people that have children has not to stay in the situation in which you have to decide or the work or the children. It is crazy. It is not right. And Europe is working and has to work more in order to create the condition for the flexibility of the employment. Implementing gender mainstreaming in public sector. What is gender mainstreaming? Gender mainstreaming is something like we have to reflect on this. We have to think about it. We have to, this is something that we have to stress, to underline. And Europe has to underline the gender issues in public sector. Also because the government has to be an example for the private sector. So, and promoting gender equality also in the workplace, and also adopting a pay transparency proposal, legislative proposal. What is pay transparency? Pay transparency means that you have to be transparent, you have to make everyone known what are you paying a man and what are you paying a woman. You have to be transparent. Because sometimes in private institutions, also big institutions, also in multinational agency, you don't know how is paid the person that works near you. So be transparent means be equal.
The question number 4 is, how can educators fight stereotypes that impact on students' educational experiences?
The world of schools and what the school system, I divided in 2 slides, what the school system can do and what the educators can do. What the school system can do, I can say only one word: the teacher training, educating teachers. Because each teacher has a power in his class and can stress, can underline, can help an atmosphere. So the teachers are to being aware of personal biases, because each of us bring with ourselves our tradition, our roots, our point of view, but we have to develop. We have to put in crisis our tradition, because each of us can maintain something of our roots, but also can overcome something. Of course, traditions are important, are our identity, but our identity is also our critical power of develop traditional roots. So it is significant for students and it is significant also for teachers. So what the school system has to do, the effort on promoting ongoing professional development for teachers. And what educators can do. What are the strategies for educators in order to overcome stereotypes that are implementing this equality? Of course, the first strategy is the awareness of personal biases. Of us has the total truth. No one of us has the total rights. My vision is the right one, is the only one, and stop. Of course, it's not so, but sometimes each of us as students or teachers, we have this automatic guide in which we speak like if we have not to listen anyone, because we know everything. So promoting dialogue is something that helps us in develop our interior space. And from our interior space, is the root of our actions. Of course, another strategy is to work on cultural sensitivity. Be sensitive on differences, be sensitive on the growth of students is something that has to be implemented in order to create the better atmosphere in the class and the better results of our lessons of our schools.
What kind of European measures have been taken or are to be taken in the future to overcome gender inequality in education?
Thank you. I appreciated very much this thank you of the little ones, and I want to make it mine. And so, the European Union is working hard to make sure that each of you, that each girl, each boy, each woman, each man, have equal opportunity in education and careers. It's not a play. It's a real is a real challenge, because each of you could start studying hard, but after you could have more opportunity if you are a man, less opportunity if you are a woman. This is the reality, and the European Union is working hard in order to overcome this problem. And what are the things that the European Union is doing? The gender equality strategy. I repeated it for the third time, because this strategy has a lot of focus. And one of the focus is on education, is on overcome stereotype in educational system. One of the things that you can do in your school is also to have an open table on stereotypes in your school. And you can have dialogue with your teachers, with your principal, in order to create a better atmosphere in your school. You can start by your class, going on in your school. You have to feel that European Union has invested in you, in each of you as active citizens, and through you, things can change in your class, in your school, in your territory. It depends on your commitment. There is also another action that I have copied and written in this slide, because I think it's interesting also to know, to see also this detail that European Union is working also for the countries that are outside European Union. Also, this could be a possible discussion on the field of the first topic, Europe, because we have here EU Gender Action Plan, the third. That is a plan that highlights the importance of gender equality in education, and is a plan that is adopted for the outside Europe countries. And also in this case, because I know that it would be too longer for us, I suggest you to think about it. Why? Why European Union is giving money to help countries that are outside Europe? What is the benefit that Europe will have if other countries develop in this issue or in other issues? What is the benefit that we will have if other countries have better laws, better level of life, if they are reach goals related to human rights? I trust in your answer, or in your research. If you don't have an answer, before saying they are failing, it is not good, it is not a good, before saying that this is not a good affair, you can think about it. You can research on it, because if they did it, if they do it, they are experts. They know that there are reasons. There are reasons. Another thing that I want to underline is the effort in Europe on the fields of study and career that are usually related to men. We think usually this is a field for men. And Europe is saying, no, there are not fields for men. There are fields for human beings that are interested in them. These fields are named with the acronym STEM, that of course every one of you know, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So there are a lot of fundings in order to permit to girls to study and to work on these fields, and also in the fields of technology, the ICT field. We are saying that there is a gender mainstreaming in education in Europe. Think about it, reflect on it, work on education in order to have a better Europe in the respect of genders. So these actions show that the European Union is committed to promoting gender equality in education and addressing the issues that lead to gender disparity in different fields.
Okay, so the students who are going to deliver the text can come here. We take a picture with them.
Sì. Hai ragione, mamma. Sì.
Yeah. So a delegation of the 5 schools can come and take a picture with Caterina. Thank you. We have finished. Pronto? Hello.
Means in Greek, all of them have left the building.
Yes, we have finished the sessions. Yes. Not bad.
Go. Let's eat. Let's see.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bună dimineața, viața.
Dimineața mă trezesc într-un pat împărătesc.
Thank you. Vámonos.
Celia.
Marameu.
Sbenghiu.
Έχει να πάρουμε άμα για να... Όχι, θα μείνω εγώ πίσω. Πάνε πίσω εδώ ήδη δίπλα. Πάνε πίσω από πέντε. Επιτρέπετε να κάνουμε κάτω μας πήρες, με έχεις πάρει εκεί κάτω alle 3:30 άμα δεν είναι αυτό, εκεί πέρα μπορούμε να μας κάνουμε due sessioni di pasti θα βράζουμε σε 3 λεπτά avete solo pacchetto Caterina bro però andavano fatti abbiamo cercato in ogni modo di avere un ragazzo Dai, abbiamo fatto doppio qui l'organizzazione poi a farle le cose con facilità quindi quella lì si era persa la Sicora aveva visto la mail con le liste aveva visto solo le liste che noi abbiamo ricordato che poi Alba aveva cambiato l'altra aveva aggiunto la collega ma non aveva visto il primo invio quindi dice no voi non siete autorizzati come non siete autorizzati non si capisce ma lì hanno dovuto fare tutto ho fatto tanti video veramente για μία ώρα
Non lo facciamo passeggiando. No, no, ma va benissimo. Non è che...